today I wanted to talk about my experience as a young lung cancer patient and surviving lung cancer for 4 years now. So, if you don't know me yet, my name is Aurora Lucas, and I was diagnosed with stage 3A lung cancer when I was only 28 years old back on December 6th, 2021. And I wanted to talk about this today because in many ways, I see life so differently now. The way that I survive my life and I get through it is through my 4 month scans. It's similar to people planning, quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. That is similarly, how I plan my life, how I think about my life. For example, I was texting my one of my lung cancer friends yesterday, and I was like, "Hey, has anyone ever asked you about retirement? I like when it comes up, I'm like, I don't even know if I'll live that long. Like honestly, like I will speak life over my life and hope that I do live that long, but statistically, um, the longest survivors I have met, and they are definitely unicorns, have survived for maybe 20-ish years. I think the longest person has survived for like 28. So add that with my age now, I'm 33. At most, maybe I could live at 60, right? And it's not a morbid thing to think about, like for me, because I think my mom has always prepared me for the topic of death. So it doesn't scare me to think about death at an early age, but what does scare me is living life on autopilot and living as if you're in like a shell of a person. For me, I tried to be not try to be fearful, but I guess let fear kind of stand in my way of being my true self. And that was so scary for me to be in my comfort zone, quote unquote, to be in like the comfort zone, at least um what showing it to the world that I'm just like in my comfort zone and not really growing. That was so scary for me. Like I have to constantly be growing. Like that's the only way that I feel like I have energy flowing through my body. And that's one of the things of like how I view life. Like I've realized that my truth is my truth and that's what I will stand by. For example, I need to live life by the ocean, or I need to live life in a way that I'm constantly growing or challenging myself. That is something that I have learned to take note of in regards to my self-awareness. Um, yeah, another one is taking trips with my family. So I know that everybody could be busy paying bills or, just striving for what they want in life. I know I was definitely in that ladder or rat race for so long, but now I talk to my sisters, um, and we like talk about trips, right? We talk about it in our chats. Hopefully, someday some of them will get out of the group chat. Sometimes we get to, like, I got to take a trip with my one of my older sisters last month. We got to go to the Philippines together, which is our homeland. And that's such a precious thing to be able to share those memories with them. And hopefully, my other sister can go soon. And so, we're like kind of just manifesting that, making space for imagining what else is possible. And if I had a lot of money, I would definitely keep taking trips with them. You know what I mean? Like, I would take them and pay for it, but we're all just kind of speaking life over those experiences because we know that time is precious and that it is not forever. And um, I'm looking at my face. I look so tired. I was ready to go to sleep, but I'm showing up here because I'm like, oh snap, I gotta record my YouTube video. And yeah, another thing is that I am reclaiming the dreams that I feel like I suppressed when I was younger. For example, right now I'm working on becoming a full-time author. I'm working on my first book, which is going to be my memoir. And I couldn't even say that 5 years ago because, I was striving to work hard towards teaching licensure, towards my education, towards paying bills as like a newly married couple. So there's just like all those reasons of surviving in like a capitalistic society that it was hard to make space, or I just had that mindset of like I have to survive, I have to get my education right, I have to work hard, etc., etc. So I just had all those reasons to not write for myself or creatively. It was after lung cancer actually that I had time to like process and get back with my inner creative self, because all I've done is like write academically. I just finished my doctorate degree last year, which I feel super accomplished. I'm so glad I did that. I knew that, before I died, I wanted to achieve that. But now I'm so glad that I'm still alive to be able to get in touch with that inner creative artist within me. And that's another part of, living with lung cancer. It's like you realize you don't have a lot of time for all the dreams you pushed off when you were younger. Like, I know I had to push it off in order to survive, and it's a whole systemic thing, but I'm just grateful, y'all, that I get to be whimsical, that I get to just like expand my imagination on what's possible, right? And another part is, whew, I guess grief. Grief is just always in my heart, in my body, and in my soul. I haven't talked about this topic often, but when I started lung cancer advocacy and social media, I didn't know where it would take me. And one of the most beautiful things is like being part of the community and instantly connecting with other young lung cancer patients. And it is so painful. It's so painful to be a part of this community. Not in a way that people are like harming each other, but the reality is the sadness that some people that you get really close to, they pass away. And sometimes I meet other advocates and I'm like, how do you do this? How do you just not lay in bed all the time? I remember when my first friend ever, she passed away and she was only, I believe, 32, 33. I was in bed for 2 weeks. You kind of learn how to deal with it as time goes on, but you see, I almost just cried. It's something I'm still processing 3 or 4 years into survivorship, because a young lung cancer patient, there's no way to sanitize it. There's no way to romanticize what we go through. It's just fucked up and it sucks. It really sucks. But I what I think that the grief makes me see life, that life can be taken away at any time, and that life is a gift every single day. And not just like being alive and waking up, but like actually being able to walk, actually being able to speak, because lung cancer could take that away from you. I remember that when I was getting misdiagnosed left and right, I could barely talk and I could barely sleep because the back pain was shooting through my back. And I remember like not even being able to stay awake during the day, because the fatigue just hit that hard. So like being able to walk around and navigate, like I will never take it for granted, and I actually pray about that every day. I'm like, may I never take being able to exist freely for granted. And I feel like before, the mindset was like, okay, I'm young, I'm able to grind away, I'm able to just like kind of sacrifice my body for my goals. And that's just, y'all, I think that it's a health epidemic, especially for women of color. It's really good that we get our goals, it's good that we get our education, but I think that we can be more intentional about it without inflicting harm on our bodies. At least not as much harm as we're like trained to do. Because I was trained to like work my ass off, you know what I mean? And that, no pain, no gain. And that working hard and studying hard all the time is a badge of honor. And I have studied hard and I still work hard, but in a way that honors my body more. And that's still a part I'm figuring out and being creative with. But there's ways that we could slowly really honor our bodies before it's way too late. It was way too late for my mom. My mom passed at 57. She was an immigrant single mom who worked 2 or 3 jobs and was so proud of it. And eventually it wore down on her body. And so having the grief of like my mom passing in 2019 and then me being diagnosed with lung cancer in 2021, it's just two things that are living rent free in my mind and makes me see life in a different way. And also, for example, I'm 33. I tell my dad all the time, I'm like, I could take you home to the Philippines so we could take that trip. That's the other part. For my dad, I think he thinks I'm going to live for a long time, and hopefully he is right. But I at least have made peace within my mind that at least I invited him. You know what I mean? And also, the other part is my husband. My husband is younger. He's 28. He's 4 years younger than me. And I don't know. He's just kind of on the mindset that there's time. And for me, I live life so urgently. Not in a way that's toxic, but I think in a way like, hey, how can we have more purpose in every day? How can we live life not on autopilot, not half asleep, not just scrolling the phone? Because what kind of life is that? That goes on to the other point. Sorry, my dog's and the camera's going off. Let me silence this. But I think that that's the other part. I actually downloaded this app called Opal. I'm learning because I don't want to be spending 6 hours a day. This is a new thing. I don't want to be spending my life away on my phone 6 hours a day. And the Opal is like a self-control app that blocks apps on your phone. For example, I block Instagram on my phone, Facebook, Messenger, messages, and it's set for a time period of the day. It just told me that I spent 4 hours on Instagram yesterday. I was like, that's a lot. And then it blocks it for a temporary period of time. For example, for me, it currently blocks off 5 hours. And you can actually ask it to take breaks. Like, let me have a 15-minute break so I could talk to my friends. That's a very new development in my in my lung cancer patient life. Like, I don't want to be spending my life away scrolling on the phone in order to regulate my nervous system. YouTube is definitely allowed because I'm letting myself storytell on the app and upload it and have consistency. So I'm reallocating my energy. And again, the app is called Opal. Yeah, there's definitely more ways. Ooh, I just remembered one. This is also a recent development. Because of the word cancer being so uncomfortable, one big thing I learned is that people can definitely be there for you during misdiagnosis and diagnosis and a little bit after that. But the more that cancer muggles hear the word cancer, they become really, really uncomfortable and they forget, or they it just kind of drags, is how I've seen it. They think it drags. But the most important part of the lung cancer journey, I think, is people being there during survivorship. And I've seen a lot of my relationships not be as strong anymore. Like, they just there's no blame to go about it. I think it's just kind of fallen apart. And for me, that was really painful. But now, as of just a few months ago, I decided that the people allowed in my life are the ones making effort and showing up. And that, um, since I was doing my doctorate degree, that was really dark and hard and challenging, but there were a couple of people who pushed me through it, and their gardens are the ones I'm pouring back into because they are so deserving. They were there for me during the hardest times. I probably wasn't an easy person to talk to, but yeah, not keeping tabs in a way like, oh, you didn't do this for me. But it's like I realized that I would pour into people constantly just because they were family, or it was like an automatic thing that I had been programmed to do as a kid. But I wrote down names of people who were just like showing up relentlessly. And I'm like forever grateful for them pushing me through like the hardest times, even times that I didn't know I was like literally gonna make it or like stay here, y'all. And I'm like, okay, these people gave so much energy for my garden to flourish. Let me give back to them. Let me refocus my energy towards people where the relationship is reciprocal and sustainable because they have encouraged me to expand. Expansion is like the next era, right? So, being a lung cancer patient, I realized that I want to surround myself with people who, just by being in my life, encourage me to expand rather than shrink. It's people who are constantly working on them, like themselves within, not even just like getting medals or getting awards or, all the status stuff. It's not that. There are people who are constantly challenging themselves within to like heal, to challenge the limiting beliefs in their minds. And those are the people that constantly encourage me to grow. And actually, I love their energy. They're the people that I want to surround myself with and like pour back into. Um, yeah. And they just like bring out the best in me. So I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna pour back into them as much as they see and encourage the best in me to come out. And yeah, this is something I'm still reflecting on and like all the ways that I see life. Also, yeah, y'all like reclaim your power. The C word, lung cancer, it sucks. But if we are given the life or the gift to still be alive, I say have intention to take your power back because it is so easy, not easy, but it is inevitable that you'll feel despair because our medical healthcare system sucks. Like, I'm so lucky that I have a good healthcare team now, but cancer research is being cut left and right, especially with the new administration. And then you're dealing with insurance and you're just dealing with things on top of each other. And then you're dealing with personal life, work life. It just feels like your power could be taken away bit by bit, and then you lose yourself. So I think one of the messages that I want to relay, especially to lung cancer patients, or if you're watching this, you're probably one of their loved ones, encourage yourself or encourage your loved one who's affected by lung cancer to process everything they're going through, but with the intention of reclaiming their power, right? Because the C word is not, it cannot, and I will encourage you that it will not take the power within you, the ancestral wisdom within you. Like, whatever effed up thing is happening in our body and in our environment, we don't deserve it, right? Nobody deserves lung cancer. But we are still alive somehow, some way. And for me, I decided I don't want to live it in despair. I don't want to live it in fear. That one is tricky and sensitive because we all know and we all see it around us. It's like a hidden war, right? Of like people's mobility being taken away, people's insurance or medications being taken away, or like their options being taken away, and that could become us, right? But I think that knowing that you have such a limited time on earth, it shakes you to your core like every single day. Maybe there are ways for us to be intentional and still have power, even though it feels like we're losing control, if that makes sense. Yeah. Thank you for listening this far in this video. If you have made it this far, you deserve the whole world. You deserve to reclaim your power. Go do whatever it takes. May it be vision boarding or journaling. Ooh, yes, that is how I gained back my power, was journaling and like finding my voice and like facing the truth of what I was feeling and like writing out what kind of friendships I wanted, how I wanted to be treated, what I didn't deserve and what I did deserve. Take back that power, y'all, because I know some of us were hella stressed before misdiagnosis, and a lot of us just felt like life was out of control. There are a few I know were living their best lives and then got diagnosed, but majority of the people I meet were like hella stressed before getting diagnosed with lung cancer. And you know, if you have the chance to still be alive, I think it's a good time to reframe, to restructure your life, to rebuild, all those words, right? Because the more you empower yourself, the more you could help others. All right, y'all, we are 22 minutes in. One day I'll be able to talk for 30 minutes, but I will leave you with this message today. And thank you for listening.